Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video where, because it's Monday, there are more questions about chapbooks. So here we go. We're going to get into it. How do you theme your chapbook? I have done probably more videos on making chapbooks and theming chapbooks and different ways to go about doing things. I don't know. I've probably done more videos on that than almost anything else. But it's still something that comes up. And I don't know if it's because I have so many videos that it's hard to go through all of them. But I will say that there are some things that I feel like people miss when they're putting together their chapbook. The first thing you have to understand is, especially if we're talking poetry, which we are if we're talking chapbooks, the thing you have to understand is that you, and this is where a lot of people argue with me, if you are a formalist poet, just probably stop watching this because you're going to do what you want to do anyway, and it's not going to go well for you, and I don't know, it's going to be depressing and you're going to get mad at me anyway. So you might want to just stop watching. But if you are more of a free verse poet, definitely stick around. Because what you have to understand is that you are your poetry. You are your art. You are the person who is describing the events, making them artistic, making them poetic, making them just live through your eyes. And you are the only person who can see the world the way you see the world, who could describe the world the way you describe the world. So right off the bat, you have to understand that you are the art. You are the brand, if we want to get into that thing, okay? Now, when I was talking kind of bad about formalists or academic poets who fall more on that side, they tend to believe in more of the death of the author, okay? And maybe I should do a whole video on the death of the author. It was a very popular thing back probably 60s and 70s to try to get rid of the literati, to basically say hey, who I am shouldn't matter as much as the quality of my work. So at the time that makes sense, and quality of your work should be one of the things that anyone looks at when they look at your work. The problem is, and now we're going to start talking about themes. Once we start talking about theming your book, what you're going to notice, especially when you look out at the sea of poets out there who are theming their chapbooks, see, this is going to be a slippery slope and be a little problematic. And I'm trying to not have it be this way. But the reason why one would theme a chapbook is because they want to have a through line that makes a book of poetry worth something to look at, okay? It's marketing. Theming a chapbook is marketing. If you don't like marketing, but you want to theme your chapbook, you're a hypocrite, okay? Because you are trying to find a hook that is going to get people to want to read your book. Now, whatever theme you choose, you are going to alienate some of your potential readers. It's just how it is. So let me go through some of my chapbooks. So me as an action figure is a collection of poems about my childhood and nostalgia and the things that I loved as a kid. Okay? It's sold okay, but it hasn't sold great because childhood nostalgia for me means in order for someone to want this book, they kind of have to be my age. And because of the things I'm talking about in here, they kind of also have to be in my economic class, or else they're not going to understand and love the things that I'm talking about here. So this book completely narrowed down a niche audience, which might not even exist. Okay. Other than that, the people who get this book are just people who are fans of me and they love the stuff that I do, which I appreciate. Love you guys. All right. Another book that I totally overestimated the excitement level of is this one, Mart. This is a book of poetry about Walmart and going to Walmart and the things that happen at Walmart. Okay, so right there, niche. Like I really narrowed that one down. On top of that, this is a book about going to Walmart and being at Walmart during COVID, during lockdown. So I might as well just burn every copy of this book left. This is not something that most people want to do, but these are themes. Los Angeles, I only have a couple copies of this one left. This one was more broad. It was poems about LA. The thing about it, though, is that it's poems about kind of the dirtier side of LA. So this isn't a poem. This isn't a book of poems that would inspire you to come to LA and become a star and all this other stuff. It's poems about the unhoused, drug use, filth, dirty streets, corruption, stuff like that. So again, I took something that could have been a very wide niche and I narrowed it down to where most people probably aren't going to want to read it, although that has been doing okay. And then here's another one, The Road to West Hollywood. This is my latest chapbook. I only have a few of these left too. But these are poems about when I left LA proper and moved to the Valley for a little bit, just to kind of get my bearings as I moved from the Valley into West Hollywood. And if you don't know, West Los Angeles, the west side of LA, is a completely different place. And it's actually very different from the Valley. West Hollywood is probably the only place I've ever been to that is like West Hollywood. It's a completely different thing. So when you are theming your chapbook, you can do a few different things. You could do it geographically. These are poems I wrote when I was here. Big Sur, people have done that. Even if you go on vacation to Hawaii, just write 6 to 14 poems and you have a chapbook. Just write them while you're in Hawaii. That's easy. Another way to theme your chapbook is by date. So if you just write a bunch of poems in January, and then if you are writing poems all along the same period, there usually will be a through line, because one of the reasons why we write poems in the first place is to work our shit out. And so if you look at those poems from that period, you will be able to see what the fuck you're trying to work out. And that's an easy way to theme your chapbook. Okay? If you don't want to do time and you don't want to do place, the other thing to do is to come up with an idea. And I think it's bad. Okay? I think the poems suffer when you do it like this. When you come up with a theme before you have the poems and you're like, I'm going to write a book about poems about Walmart. Okay? And so then you're like, okay, here I go. I'm going to sit down at my computer. I'm going to write 20 poems about Walmart. Go. It doesn't flow. So what you should do, and what I do, is I just write poems. I have a spreadsheet. We've talked about this before, where I put the themes of what the poems are about in a spreadsheet next to the poems title. So then I just will, when it's time to put out a chapbook, I'll hit Control F and put Walmart and see how many poems come up. And if there's over 14 poems, I'm like, oh, that's a chapbook. If it's too many, I remember rage was one thing I typed in, and there was 37 poems. And I'm like, it's kind of heavy for a chapbook. I probably need to go through those poems and try to break those up into different topics. But that is a more natural way, a more holistic way of theming your chapbook. Like, once you have the poems written, start trying to see what the theme is. But you have to remember that you are the art. You are the theme. You are the artist. Your voice is the thing that ties everything together. So don't try to hide and go, oh, these are just poems about birds that rhyme or something like that. Because when you take you like as far out of the equation as you can, it's really hard, especially in a sea of poets putting out chapbooks, for anyone to see you and then be interested enough in the you that you're hiding way back here to find out about your book of poetry about birds. Like, you need to be the product. And I know a lot of you are going to be disgusted by hearing this, but you need to sell yourself and sell your poetry in order to sell a book. You know what I'm saying? And unless you're getting published every month in Poetry Magazine and the New Yorker, nobody fucking knows who you are. And let's be honest, if you're in poetry and the New Yorker, like 3 people know who you are. So like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit, right? But that doesn't matter. So what I think the best thing to do if you're going to make a chapbook is just have a selected. Like, that is the most like wide net you can throw out. So just like this, like selected poems, like just, and then take what you think your best poems are. You're probably wrong. I'm always wrong when I go through and I go, these are my best poems. Like, people are like, whatever. And then they tell me what their favorite poems are, and I never would have picked them in a million years. So if you have like 10 people, you know, that have read your stuff that aren't your mom or your girlfriend or whatever, ask them what their 3 to 5 favorite poems of yours are. And if they could tell you, that means they've actually read your shit. If they're like, ooh, then don't ever listen to anything they say ever again, because they're full of shit and they're lying to you. But find out what other people's favorite poems of yours are and stick with those. That would be my advice. If any of you have more specific questions about theming chapbooks or anything like that, please leave it in the comments down below or send me an email, ihatemattwall@gmail.com, and ask the question. Because like, I've probably put out more chapbooks than anybody. Adam Crawford's probably... he's probably put out more than I have by now with his audiobooks on Bandcamp. You should check those out if you haven't yet. But yeah, so just ask away, you know? There's no dumb questions, only dumb people who don't ask any questions. So if you want to be a smart person, ask a question, okay? Anyway, guys, type hard, do the thing. Don't break your neck over theming a chapbook, okay? You are the theme, so stand out, okay? And I will talk to you all later. Wait! Go to mattwallart.com and buy my chapbooks. What the hell's wrong with you guys? You have me sit here talk about chapbooks and you don't even let me pitch my chapbooks to you? It's disgusting. mattwallart.com. Get the chapbooks while you can. Most of them are almost sold out, with the exception of 3, and I'm not going to tell you what 3 those are, okay? So I'll talk to you all later.